From the Arkansas Sports Network, it's an in-depth Arkansas Razorbacks podcast featuring the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brad Caldwell.
When I grew up, I remember the Quinn Grovey days where the SWC champions in 88 and 89. I mean, that was the time that I grew up. That's the time that I got hooked on Razorbacks.
Around here, we call him the Rain Man of Arkansas Razorback Sports, Mr. Duran Miller.
Real quick, speaking about going down to Baton Rouge, and all the corn dogs and all that nature. But y'all remember the time Bobby Boucher intercepted the quarterback and his pants fell off?
And finally, he wears his hair upside down and he pushes all the buttons, Mr. Bill Harshaw.
When you look at the Razorback athletic program across the board, Hunter Yurichak's got this thing moving in the right direction because these kids are looking at Arkansas athletics going, hey, Arkansas is the place to be, and we haven't had that in a while.
Everyone get ready, because you're now connected to the Razor Wire.
I think anytime you can sell something that you passionately believe in, it makes it tremendously easier. And there's two things that we have to sell here that I believe a lot in. That's University of Arkansas and that's Sam Pittman. And when you can sell those two things and it's coming from the heart, and kids feel that, like, you can't BS an 18-year-old kid. They know, or 16 or 17-year-old kid. They know who's real and who's not, and it's easy for me to do that, and I enjoy it because I'm selling something I really, really believe in.
Wow, man, when you hear something like that from, one of your coaches, Loggins coming in, saying that he's selling something that he believes in, it makes you really feel good about things. Welcome into the Razor Wire. I'm Bill Harshaw. With me, as always, Brad Caldwell and Duran Miller. And guys, what did you think when you heard Loggins say that? I mean, you have the moon landing. Everybody knows where they were when that was. I think everybody might remember where they were when Loggins said what he said in that press conference. That'll get you boosted up, won't it?
You're so used to coach speak, but that seemed to come right from the heart there. That seemed to be one of those things that you could take some stock in. I really felt like that was pure gold. Haven't heard a lot of good hadn't heard a lot of good things. We haven't heard that kind of good things coming out of coaches' mouths in a long time. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that gets you motivated. That'll get you fired up. You'd love to go play for a guy like that, especially if you're an Arkansas kid up there as well. Guys like him and Pittman. Pittman's, he kind of is that same way. He's from just an hour, 90 minutes away, roughly. Always was an Arkansas guy. So you got to love that from your coaches. It kind of reminds me of Frank Brules, where he came here, he built this program, and he always said, Arkansas is the best kept secret in the nation that no one knows about. It's because of the passion of the Razorbacks and the fan base in the state of Arkansas.
Well, I think Sam Pittman has proven that he's an Arkansas guy. He fits in well with the fans, and he's bringing in guys to work alongside him that are also Arkansas guys. And Dow Loggins, he's got his history with the Razorbacks, and he's doing what good coaches do. He's already bringing in a couple of commits for the next recruiting season. So it looks like his hard work's starting to pay off.
Loggins has got that Houston Nutt type of mentality kind of with him. And, as we get further removed from the Houston Nutt years, you can kind of appreciate a little bit more, at least, about what Houston Nutt did here. He had his faults, no doubt about it, especially personality faults. But as far as what he did here, he actually did a pretty good job for the most part. But Dow Loggins has that same type of love that Sam Pittman has. I mean, I really like the succession here that you're seeing with Loggins coming in as tight ends coach. I think that there's going to be some upward movement at some point there with Loggins. I mean, you do realize that Loggins was mentioned as a head coaching candidate for Arkansas back when we hired Sam Pittman. I don't think there was anything serious that came out of it. But to me, this is almost a better way of possibly doing this for Dow Loggins, maybe well into the future. Who knows? But right now, you've got to be pleased with what is happening in fall camp and up on the hill right now. It seems like that this thing is moving in the right direction. And I mean, really and truly, how could it not have moved into a better position from what Chad Morris left it? I mean, it was at the very bottom.
Absolutely.
We were scraping bottom there. And so I'm very appreciative, if you really want to know the truth. I mean, I'm just happy that Arkansas is a respectable program again. And a lot of that has to do with Sam Pittman and then, of course, the guys that he's brought in.
That's it. That's it. And we're going to hear from some of those guys here on the Razor Wire. We have defensive coordinator Barry Odom. We have Dorian Gerald and Eric Gregory, both defensive ends. Offensive line coach Cody Kennedy. We have a couple clips from him, as well as Blake Kern, Hudson Henry, both tight ends, and more Dowell Loggins. We have more of that interview coming back up. And, that's an important interview because that tight end position right now seems to be a pretty fluid change going on the Hill. We have Parkview, former quarterback Landon Rogers, who we saw in action last year against Benton. He's moving from quarterback to tight end, so a little bit of movement going on, trying to fill some holes, and probably the shallowest depth we have on the team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I would say wide receiver, even though they've got a lot of talent there, they don't have a lot of proven talent there. So those two positions are positions of concern. I think wide receivers probably in a little better position. You're not seeing people move over to those spots. So they're trying to find some depth there. Landon Rogers is probably not a guy that you expect to play this year. We saw him last year when we live streamed the Parkview Benton game. And not to knock him as a quarterback, he's a plus athlete. He's very physical at the point of attack. The one thing that I felt like, though, we could use him athletically. I didn't know that he was going to be a quarterback here, and it's already proven to be that.
Well, in his defense, when we watched him against Benton, Benton's defense was stellar, and it just really changed him from a pocket passer or even a mobile quarterback that wants to throw to pretty much a running back. I mean, that's pretty much the only success he had that night was with using his legs, and he did that very efficiently. And that's why on the way home we were going, this is a great kid. I'm glad he's coming to Arkansas. I can't wait to talk about him on our show that we were doing at the time, Primetime Preps on the Arkansas Sports Network. And I mean, big things are happening with Landon Rogers. I mean, he's an athlete that we need to have on the field, and it looks like they're trying to make a way to make that happen. But kind of alluding to the Arkansas Sports Network, Brad, I've been holding your feet to the fire for weeks. Football season's right around the corner, and I may have to strap up some kind of ancient torture device or something to get it out of you. But can we get it this week, man?
All right, I think we can. I think it's time to go official with the official announcement.
All right, let me have it.
But before I go there, I want to say, go like the Arkansas Sports Network. Go like them on Facebook, on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. We said we had something special, and we really do. We started doing this thing with high school sports. We are very, very involved in high school sports locally. Here, we actually have schools, Atkins, Dover, and Pottsville. We do all of their live streaming for them, football, basketball. This year, we are going to be adding a fourth broadcast. If I had any more hair, I would have probably torn it out by now.
And maybe that's what happened to all of mine.
But with that being said, we are adding a fourth broadcast, and we are super excited. We want to thank the Arkansas Army National Guard for coming along with us in this fourth broadcast. This will be the Arkansas Sports Network Game of the Week. And what the Arkansas Sports Network Game of the Week is going to bring you is the top players on the top teams every week. We've already got some major broadcasts set up. First broadcast for us will be September the 10th. We will be traveling to Shiloh, where we will be watching the Shiloh Saints take on Sand Springs, Oklahoma, 6A school out of Oklahoma. Last year, these two battled a very, very close ball game. Sand Springs come out with a victory, but Shiloh Christian, number 1 in 4A, really is a big-time team. And we've got Razorback commitments everywhere. We've got Razorback prospects everywhere. And that's the whole point of this, is to bring these kids to you, to bring them into your living room. The kids that you want to see, and let me get my hand on my face here, the kids that you want to see play, whether it be football or basketball, the kids that you want to see future Razorbacks, we're bringing them to you right here on the Arkansas Sports Network starting September the 10th. I couldn't be more excited about bringing you what I think is going to be something very, very special here in the state of Arkansas. Because if you really think about it, Bill and Joran, you go to these stadiums where these kids are playing and you see people coming out of nowhere. The best example I have of that, and this is a long, long time ago, but Corliss Williamson. There was not a time when Corliss Williamson would go play somewhere that the gyms weren't just packed. I mean, packed everywhere. Why? Because they wanted to see that high level talent. Well, now we're going to bring it to you, to your living room. You're going to be able to see it weekly. I'll just give you a rundown of the games that we have so far and some of the players that we have. Caden Henley, Shiloh Christian, Arkansas commitment for the class of 22 on September the 10th. September the 24th, we've got Greenwood traveling to Parkview. And we've got all kinds of Razorback interest there. There's seniors and juniors and I mean just everywhere. We've got Fayetteville and Rogers, Manny Powell of formerly of Canton, Ohio, moves to Fayetteville. We've got that game on October the 1st. October the 15th, we've got Maumelle taking on Pulaski Academy, the number 1 team in 5A. You've got 2 Razorback commitments there on Maumelle. On October the 22nd, you've got Greenland taking on Cedarville. Daryl Kadich is one of the top running backs in the state of Arkansas, getting interest from Big Ten schools. And then you've got Hollingsworth of Greenland, a Razorback commitment, big 6'4", 250-pound defensive end. We're going to be bringing that one to you. And then we've got the duo at Clarendon on November the 4th, traveling to Des Arc, the number 1 team in 2A. Now, that's all we've got right now. I've got some calls into some other games, some prospects of the future, some 23 prospects and 24 prospects. Guys, you are not going to want to miss what we've got coming to you right here on the Arkansas Sports Network.
So what I'm going to have to do here, Brad, is first and foremost, the neat thing about this, guys, is that you can get online and you can see clips and highlights of these kids, and you can see what they can do. You can see them show you the plays that they want you to see. What we're bringing to you when we do this is a full game time situation where you can see what these guys can do in that short yardage situation. Can they punch it in from 4th and 1 in a game winning situation? We're going to bring that to you. You may not see that on the highlights. But Brad, there's one thing that you're not bringing up, and I'm not sure if that's just still something that you're keeping close to your chest, but we may have some guests on this broadcast.
Yes. I mean, how could I forget? Richard Davenport of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette will be joining us on a weekly basis to talk about Arkansas recruiting at halftime of each game. Something that you're not going to want to miss. Richard Davenport of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette will be joining us weekly. And we want to say thank you to Richard for doing that. He didn't have to do it. It has been fantastic to have him aboard. And yes, every week, Richard Davenport, the recruiting guy from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, will be joining us to talk about Razorback recruiting.
Yeah, and guys, we kind of you alluded to it earlier. We did Benton Parkview last year. We had Landon Rogers on. We had Aaron Outley. We brought that to some people, and James Joyner, who's going to be a Hog next year. So that was kind of a preview of kind of getting the wheels greased of what was coming. And we are passionate about this. We are super excited about this. And I mean, even before I was involved, it was something that I've always wished that someone would do around the state, that we could watch these individual guys instead of just going to YouTube and watching a 5-minute highlight tape, getting to see the scenarios, the situations, the importance of what's going on in the game and how those players respond in those particular situations. That is super exciting. I got to do some highlights of Rogers last year when he played at Russellville. We were talking about him a little bit earlier, and he went off in that game too, running the ball, and we'll see how he works out over at tight end. But we're super excited about this, and I can't wait. And having Davenport on there, man, it's going to be that's a slam dunk, and I cannot wait to help bring this to y'all.
Well, we're going to see how it goes. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, like I said, we thank the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. We thank the Arkansas Army National Guard. These people are investing in what we're doing. We feel good about the ability that we have to stream ball games and bring you a quality product. Bill is fantastic at what he does behind the scenes. Trey Johnson a guy that we have for graphics that is just second to none. I mean, these are the guys that really make this thing happen, and we just kind of just ride the wave. And we're excited, man, about what we can do, and we really think this is something we can be doing for years to come.
And Duran, of course, he's going to be leading up the RSN Dover team, play-by-play for the Dover Pirates. He's sporting the Dover gear right now. So, Duran, I'm sure you're excited about some Dover football.
Oh yeah, I mean, numbers are a little bit down, and we've got Coach Cox back. He just had a new addition to his family yesterday. That's huge news, and I can't wait to see what they bring to the table. Get some consistency in there year two, and what the future looks like going down the line in all Dover athletics.
Well, let me say something about Duran and Dover. Duran is Dover born, Dover bred, and when he dies, he'll be Dover dead. I mean, that guy loves him some Dover Pirates, and we are excited to have Duran on. Just a very quick segue before we go into the Razor Wire. Last year, about this time, maybe just a little bit before, I met Duran at the Mount Nebo pool, and here we are now, where we're doing a podcast together. He
Right.
is now my play-by-play guy for the Dover Pirates. I mean, it's just crazy how this stuff has come together over the last year. The growth that we've had in the Arkansas Sports Network has been phenomenal. And, man, we could not be more excited about what we've got coming. I tell you what, I'm excited about that Razorback defense, Bill.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about that Razorback defense, Duran, because we brought back Barry Odom. And
That's right.
that was as huge as anything.
Yeah, speaking about consistency, that's going to make a big difference this year. Having those guys back, the same coordinator, having that you don't have to learn all new terminology, and I can't wait to see them on the field. And fall camp's been really getting me excited hearing everything that they're commenting on.
Now, we have a lot of interviews or clips from the interviews and the press conferences over the course of fall camp. And, one general theme that we've seen over the course of watching, most of these interviews is everybody's kind of saying the same things. It's a good camp. That, by all indications, is what we're expecting on that. And, Barry Odom, like you said, Duran, it's the same system. It's the same thing. But the one thing that he's focusing on right now is you really want to have some more depth. There were situations where, he wants to get into things, but just didn't have the depth for it. So let's take a look at what Barry Odom had to say, and we'll unpack that.
You look at the work that our entire team did while they were in the weight room in the off-season program with Jamil and his staff, and physically we look like a different group. Not only speed and quickness, but mental toughness, and that happens in the weight room. That I've used, the saying about it. All those things happen, way beyond when the lights are on. And there's a lot of work that this team has done in the last year to get where we are today. The defenses I've been involved with, we've always, been able to base out of a 4 down. And I think the LSU game last year, we had 5 total defensive linemen available for the game. That it gets pretty thin quick. So there are opportunities now that we can maybe be a little more versatile. And as long as it doesn't matter what I know or the coaching staff knows, we've got to be great teachers and get those guys in position to be able to play fast. We're no way in the world going to be able to get through the season with just 3 corners. That I wish we would be that lucky, but it's not going to happen. So I learned last year, we cross-trained everybody from field corner to boundary corner to all 3 safety positions, in that scheme to nickel, and that really proved to help us last year, and we've taken the same approach this year. My challenge for our staff defensively and our team is, we've got another push here to make before we're really ready to go kick it off. And our guys understand the urgency of what we need to do to get there. But there's real competition, and again, I think you look at Hayden, you look at Grant, you look at Bumper, Dede, Andrew Parker. There's Woodard. There's guys that are going to roll in and play, and you look at the number of snaps that you play throughout a game with kicking involved and all those things. Well, is Grant Morgan at play number 47? Is that level? Is it something that we need to get him a break and get somebody else in the game? And those guys, your quote unquote twos, they better be game ready, because you're a play away from being the full-time starter. So Mike's done a nice job with those guys, and again, I think another year in the system and understanding the terminology and how they need to play, but also the way that the fits are now with the defensive line and the job that Coach Ashley's done up front with those guys. They understand it. They're able to play a little faster. I'm still looking for more consistency because it was a long scrimmage, and the mental focus that it takes to play at the standard that we want to play. It's hard to do. So you've got to, you may be in for a series, 3 series, and then you're off for 3. Well, you may be off, but you better be dialed in because any moment your number is going to get called. And we tried to go as closely to a game as we can, and that will be the challenge for us defensively on Saturday. Is the way that a drive goes. You want to start fast. You want to focus on third downs. You want to try to find ways to get off the field, but also, you're out for a couple plays and then you got to get locked back in and go. That's something that you only get good at doing by doing. And that's you've got to work at it. And this becomes in your DNA. You can go play. It doesn't matter when, where, or what time it is. We're better because we've got a wonderful head coach that lays out a plan for us to go execute. And there's not any gray area on what it should look like, what it should be. He's a tremendous leader. He cares so much for our student athletes, and we're able to grow and be ourselves in this program. And our kids understand the openness, the honesty, and the transparency that he has, and ultimately what is important to our team and our program on how to go play. And our guys have bought into that. They're hungry to be good, and they're hungry to have success. We're excited about 16 days out on having an opportunity to go kick it off.
So that's Barry Odom, defensive coordinator for Arkansas. And what do you think about those comments? I mean, is it coach speak? What do you get out of it?
Man, I like what Odom has to say. I feel like this whole staff is just so genuine in what they do say. Maybe they've got me fooled. I don't know. But I feel like there's not a lot of coach speak that comes out of the Razorback camp right now. Everybody's saying the same stuff right now. And I think that at the end of the day, you're supposed to. I mean, you're supposed to be optimistic about your team right now. Now, I think that you can put a fresh face on in front of the media, and then behind the scenes, you can say other things. I've heard from different sources that behind the scenes, they're saying they feel like they can have a pretty good football team. So that's big right there. They're projecting in front of everybody, but then in behind the scenes, when they don't have to project, they're saying, hey, we think we can be pretty good. And what you're seeing from Odom, he's talking about the depth. That was something Arkansas didn't have a lot of last year, was depth. There wasn't a lot, especially on the defensive line. We hear over again here about the depth of the defensive line, who they brought in from Missouri. John Ridgeway is another guy that people just keep talking about. It's added depth, I think, that excites me, because think about this real quick. Last year where Arkansas got in trouble was offensively, they would either score like within a minute or 2 minutes, or they would go 3 and out. There was very little in between. The defense almost has to have twice as much depth as the offense does. And so if you can switch those guys in and out, especially on the defensive line, it's huge for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brad. Building that depth, especially on the D line, that was a big issue last year. We really can only play 3 guys. We had to play 6 DBs because the DBs were let's be honest, they were the linebackers were great too, but you had to get your best athletes on the field, and that was in the back half, the back 7, 8. So that's what they did. And they're really, Odom is a 4-down guy most of his career. He's a 4-down lineman, defensive front. And that's really what they want to get back to. And of course, they want to stay multiple. They like what they're doing. They learned a lot last year, I think, and they're going to be able to be very multiple on a lot of looks. But having that depth, having 4 guys they can really depend on, and they don't worry about they're not going to get to the quarterback, so that now they feel like they really have got the opportunity to only make your defensive backs work for 2 or 3 seconds, where they can just cover and give it all they got. And they know that if they do their job, the D-line's going to get there for them. And that's big. And here's something I want to say about Odom. You know, he could have left. He could have went somewhere else. And we're hearing. Did y'all hear about the tweet yesterday or the day before? He somebody tweeted him and basically was saying something like, you know, he's going to leave us once he gets a bunch of money offered to him and a better gig somewhere. And Sam Pittman, who doesn't tweet a lot, he actually tweeted back to the gentleman and said, "Hey, listen, Odom," this is paraphrase, but Odom had an opportunity to leave this year in the offseason for a much more money than he stayed for. So he loves the state, he loves the program, he loves what we're doing, and that speaks volumes to me. That's Sam Pittman right there. Just and Odom talked about that in his presser. You know, he loves working for a guy like Sam. He's enjoying what's going on here and being in the state of Arkansas.
And that's what's great about Sam Pittman is not only has he got the team and the players to buy in, but he's got the coaching staff to buy in as well. And I think, you know, that's huge.
Massive. I mean, it's really crazy. I mean, to think about that where we were in 19, where we are now, with all the buy-in. I mean, everybody's bought in. They're all pulling the same direction. You know, you get these coaches, they get up there and they talk about Sam Pittman. Every one of them get up there and talk about Sam Pittman, guys.
Right.
Think about that. Look, they don't have to do that. They don't have to get up there and talk about Sam Pittman. So what this says, they genuinely like the guy. They genuinely like working for him. It's all going in a very good direction as far as everybody's kind of pulling together. You cannot, as a football team, especially in the SEC, be divided in the locker room and be able to win ball games. Okay, it can't happen. And so, especially if you're Arkansas, okay, maybe Bama, they might be able to, LSU, but Arkansas, you can't do it. You're not talented enough to do it. So, with that being said, it's a massive thing for these coaches to get up there and every one of them, Sam Pittman, Sam Pittman, Sam Pittman. You got an NFL offensive coordinator at tight end, guys. Think about that. That's crazy.
I know, it's amazing. And Odom talked about it in his presser that Pittman is just he gives them a plan, and he makes sure everybody's executing. There's no gray area, and he says the plans are set up just perfect. It's rarely everybody understands what they're supposed to be doing. Every position coach, they understand because Pittman has done such a good job as a leader of laying that out. This is what he wants, and that's something that it just speaks volumes for a guy that's never been a head coach at this level before to do what he's doing the way he's doing it. And it just goes back to, you remember when he was here before, and even when he was at Georgia, everybody always talked about this guy's personality is amazing. He was such a great recruiter. I mean, this guy's at Arkansas. He goes into Minnesota and gets a kid like Frank Ragnow. He goes to Colorado and gets a kid like Dan Skipper. I mean, those are top line guys that were highly recruited, and they don't come here for just anybody. I mean, that takes a lot of selling power, and what sells is his genuine personality, and it don't get any better than that. If you've got that and you're not a snake oil salesman, if you really got that genuality, that's as good as it gets.
Go back to the Bielema area real quick, or error, however you want to say it. Sam Pittman leaves and the team falls apart.
Yeah. Okay? 100%.
I mean, he was the glue. He was the tie that binds them, man. I mean, he was the guy. So it's pretty amazing to see what's happening right now. You're talking about a hire that people made a lot of fun of, and here we are now, and you feel like that things are moving in the right direction. This year too is really big for Arkansas. You don't need to come out and be 4-8. They need to figure out a way to get to that 6-win plateau. And then you can start getting better players in here, and I think that these coaches are proving right now that they can coach.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Odom was talking about is building that depth up, and one of the things that the defense needs to do to increase their win column is we got to pressure the quarterback. And the way that you do that, those defensive ends need to get free. And, they're looking for depth. They're looking for competition. That's another phrase that you hear a lot through these press conferences is that the competition is there and that these guys are having to fight for their positions, and that's great. That only makes them better. Iron sharpens iron,
Well,
and
they said that a lot, didn't they
they
not?
Yes.
In
did.
those conferences, they said iron sharpens iron a bunch.
They did,
Odom
and
said it. Everybody said it.
everybody did. And it wouldn't surprise me if Dory and Gerald and Eric Gregory said it. But they kind of talk about the depth a little bit. And here's what the defensive ends had to say.
Coming off the injury, I've been, getting better. I feel like I've never been injured before. I feel like I'm healthy again. And that's been the main thing with my coaches and everything, just being healthy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot from DG this past camp, man. He's coming back from injury. He's explosive, making a lot of plays with first team. Oh, man, I feel like he's going to have a good season this year. Yeah, Trey and Kale, man, they came in here and they look like what they are, man. They're 5-year guys. They came in here, they're working. They getting us better. I know they're getting me better for sure, man. Just Trey, he's twitchy. He teaches me a lot how to work the edge, bend the edge. Kale, he's teaching me the inside, how to, get guys back, use my feet, use my hands, man. And they're good. And it's a big competition in the D-line with those guys. Yeah, Ridgeway, he's a great kid, man. He's great. He's big. And people don't really know about, he can move a little bit too. He can move. So I feel like he's a great addition for us, man. He's a great guy, great character. So yeah, I like Ridgeway.
Yes, sir. I think, like I said, many people don't know, but they will get to see he can move. Ridgeway can move. He's huge, but he's athletic.
I feel like it's huge, man, to just know that the guys behind you can do the same thing you can do. And we actually have a depth that really takes a lot off the first group. So the second group can come in, they can perform, and no drop off at the depth. So I feel like this is very huge, man. So it's going to make us make a lot of big plays in the game. People can have energy. When the 2-minute situation come up, we can have guys fresh and rotating in. So I feel like it's very huge to have a depth in the depth.
So guys, coming back, anything surprising you out of that clip?
There's nothing surprising at this point, is there? I mean, it's all the same stuff. It's hey, we really feel good about where we are. Hey, look, we can say what we want to, but in about 2 weeks here, they're going to take the field. They need to beat Rice handily. They really do. They need to really give the fans something really excited to be, or something very exciting for that week of Texas. You come out, you lay an egg, and you've got Texas coming into the building. It's not going to be a lot of fun. But if you come out and you beat Rice and you beat them well and you look good doing it, I mean, there's going to be a
Razorback,
buzz.
It's going to be
Yeah.
electric.
There's going to be a buzz in this state that
That's right.
we haven't seen in a long time for football. And, again, they're saying all the right things. They're doing all the right things at the press conferences. They've all got the right message. They've all got their collared shirts on now, right? I mean, those are things that have changed here. I mean, it's all, it's all good. I mean, it really is. Things are good right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like when reporters will ask them, about different guys and their takes on it instead of just getting it from the coach, like a Zach Williams and how much weight he's gained. And talking about Eric Gregory and just different guys along the D line and Ridgeway and what he's bringing to the table. And it's just exciting and you can feel the confidence. I don't think it's just, you get this a little bit every year. It's the Kool-Aid. It's the, everything's going well. It's positive in camp, but I really feel like this is a genuine chance for this defense to really jump up the rankings several spots. And we're not going to do predictions this week, but man, I really think this is the best defense possibly on paper going in since the 2014 season. And if that's the case, and if the offense improves, it's really going to be fun to watch out on the field this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
And of course, you start looking at the offensive line. That's another area of concern. Again, we're getting some starters back, so the experience is there. We get what's another popular phrase, super seniors, going around, another popular phrase during these press conferences. And offensive line is definitely something to look at.
Yeah, and one of the things I will point out too is Cody Kennedy, which is a dude, by the way. If you listen to
Yes.
him for any amount of time, you're going to get excited about it. He talks about the D-line improvement, okay? He
Right.
talks about how that they are iron sharpening iron. He talks about that and how that they're giving each other trouble. Think about this real quick, guys. We got 5 starters coming back on
Yep.
the offensive line. Hadn't happened in quite a while.
right.
There's a major opportunity here for Arkansas to make a step in the right direction just for the fact that you've got 5 guys that come back from a decent offensive line last year. I mean, they weren't great, but you're talking about the first year in Sam Pittman and under Sam Pittman. I think that you're looking at good things here. Let's listen to what Cody Kennedy had to say.
A lot of starts in that room, a lot of maturity, a lot of guys that have seen, the ups and the trends of this program. They've heard from a lot of different coaches, so just speaking their language and working on that, building our calls, different things up front. It's easier when you have those guys who have experienced change before. You got a lot of starts in there, the Cunninghams, the Wagners, the Clarys, there's been Strombergs, there's guys that been in a lot of games, a lot of snaps. And that experience just breeds confidence, and they're able to see those situations that arise almost before they do it. And it's a lot of fun coaching them. We've got a great room right there, and I wake up every day blessed to be here, blessed to be coaching them. Yeah, it's going to be down to the wire, I'll be honest with you, and it's not one of those bad down to the wires either. They're scrapping every day. They know what's at stake. I'm not really it's not a secret in our room that there's a competition there. Great programs, great teams are around. That's the cornerstone of it, is competition within those position groups. And those two guys are great kids that come up to work every day. With Luke, you're going to get a bigger kid. Brady's been putting on weight and done a great job getting up to over 300 pounds now. But Luke's a little bit of a bigger kid, sturdier kid. Brady, you're going to get, a very fiery young man who's going to go at it every day. It's going to come down to the wire, but it's not oh, man, who are we going to put out there? Yeah, Myron's coming back in that super senior category. Myron brings that leadership, kind of calm demeanor at times, and that's good for the offensive line. At times we're all running off the ball, striking people every play. It's good to have an old head out there saying, "Hey guys, we got to make this call right here." And I think he's coming back, and he knows how valuable he is to our offensive line, and I think that's built up his confidence as well.
So again, that's Cody Kennedy talking about, the competition that's going on there on the offensive line. And, that competition is going to make everybody better. It's definitely cliche to say the iron sharpening iron, but it's true. I mean, they're making everybody better in the process of doing that. And, that's another thing that he had talked about, talking about Ridgeway and the new guys coming in. The defensive line, offense is helping better the defense. Defense is doing their part by helping the offense. And that's another thing that Kennedy talked about.
They've done it. They've checked the box, with the grad transfers that have come in, Ridgeway, Williams. I don't want to leave guys out because, heck, they're shuffling them in there and they're rolling. Some guys that were higher up in the depth chart in the spring, there's a lot of competition right there, and they're able to skate guys on ones and twos pretty seamlessly, and have a lot of threat out there. I think with the big man Ridge in the middle, that's what we needed. We went out and were able to secure that, and then obviously we want to get to the edge and rush the passer, and I think there's a different look there too. I think we've checked the box. There's good players at every level now. You're looking at one that coached them all over, and I've been on some Division II teams that had a lot of really, really good players. Everybody's got their own story. Everybody's got their own way of developing, and there's good players coming from all the levels, and obviously we've got a really good one right there. Who shore up some things in the middle, and he makes our guys better, man. It's an iron sharpens iron mentality. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but that is really what has happened here. We've gone out and signed some guys that help us on that defensive side of the ball, and there's some different battles going on in camp that weren't there in the spring that I think help us a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things that I love his energy, for starters. His energy is amazing, and what I like is, he was the tight ends coach when Brad Davis left for LSU. He got that row where he switched over, which was kind of late. We were doing that back in June. It's not like the perfect timing, but you can tell the way his energy comes out that it's home to him. He's an offensive lineman. That's what he's always coached. I think he just got better and he got more well-rounded when he did the tight ends. Now he's back into what it just fits, and you can just tell that dude's loving it. And I love how he talks about different guys, and he breaks them down, and he says like guys like Brady Latham and Dalton Wagner, how they both are just guys he loves to coach. I mean, they make his job fun. So having 5 guys back is really exciting this year, and I love how they're interchanging them, getting those guys set up to not have those moments, where you're grabbing the handle in your car, what I'm talking about, where somebody goes down, it's kind of a blessing that Stromberg kind of had to go out for a few weeks here, and looks like he's fixing to be back. But because now you've got Ty Clary, he's more sharpened up on the center position. You got Shane Clinton there, things like that are good, and they're cross training those guys like big boy John St. Cloud, got him working at guard and tackle, things like that. So I mean that's big, and it just speaks volumes of how well-rounded and the depth that we're starting to create, and we have not had any depth on the D-line or O-line in several years.
Well, I think it was very interesting, the fact that we don't have a starter at left guard just yet. You got Luke Jones, and you got Brady Latham. They're battling it out. But what he said was very interesting. He said, it's not one of these type of deals where we don't really have anybody there. We're just trying to plug somebody in. He was like, these 2 guys can play. He's like, we're actually having a real competition about who can be the starter. And you got to think about this. Luke Jones signed with Notre Dame out of high school. And you've got Brady Latham has been a guy that's been very, very productive for Arkansas. And at the very least, you can say you've got 6 good starters that you're going to be able to play. And again, when you're talking about guys that you can just plug in there, as fast as Arkansas plays, you've got to have depth on both sides of the ball to make this work.
Yeah, and Luke Jones, you say what you want to say about Notre Dame, but when it comes to offensive line, they are top notch. I mean, they have one of the best lines every year, All-Americans, guys that produce in the NFL. He got a lot of coaching there. He came back here. Now he's under Sam Pittman, and the guys under Sam Pittman's tree like Kennedy. And so, I mean, it's as good as it gets. So I can't wait to see what he does. He's a big dude. He's got the stature. But Kennedy said Bo Limmer, and Brady Latham, is who he was talking about. Just those guys come to work every day. And so that's fun to see who's going to finally get that, and to not be that moment, like who, we got this guy and this other guy, we're worried about it. It's not going to be that way this year. And that's really exciting.
Absolutely. Another thing that's exciting is we was talking about Loggins and his comments at the beginning of the show, and that's something that a lot of people may not know about Loggins is his history with the University of Arkansas. He's a Razorback guy. He knows people in town. He says one of the things that I thought was pretty funny in his press conference was, since I came back to town, meeting lunch for everybody that I've met and old time friends, he's probably put on 15 pounds. I can't say I've been there, but Loggins seems like another great guy that knows how to handle and coach. He knows that you don't want to tear these kids down. You want to build them up. And it seems like he's taken that on the road as well. So, we teased you a little bit at the beginning of the show with Darryl Loggins. Here's the full clip that we took from Darryl Loggins.
I couldn't be more proud of what Coach Pittman accomplished in his first year. It's like all former Razorback players in this state and everyone that's a Razorback fan, like we all live and die with this football team. And I've been doing it for I was gone 17 years, but I promise you I paid attention to every game, every score, and watched every time I could. And when I was trying to make my decision whether or not I want to come back here and work here and come back to your alma mater, which is always a dream for everyone. I think everyone wants to coach, have the opportunity to coach at home. And when I turned on the tape and I watched how hard these guys played, I knew what type person Coach Pittman was, and I just saw how hard these kids played and the effort they gave, and that Razorback spirit was back that we'd been missing for a little while, and he's been able to recapture that. And we've recaptured that, and we got to continue to build on that. But now you're going from an offense that is there's a lot of stress and pressure on the tight ends, probably more so than any other position outside of quarterback, because there's a lot of aligned by assignments. Saying you have to know your alignment's cold, and a lot of times the formation calls are talking to the wideouts, so those guys are interesting ringtone. But so there's a lot mentally, there's a lot of mental gymnastics to be able to get lined up. And it's just those details. They're extremely unselfish. And that whole tight room it's not about who's in, who's rotating. They don't care about that. They care about helping each other and getting this program back to where it needs to be. You guys understand this, but a lot of people don't. Like the tight ends are expected to run routes like receivers. They're supposed to pass protect like left tackles. And, so that there's a lot that goes into that position. And if you don't have consistency, it's hard to deal with, it's hard to improve. And yeah, I think NFL experience helps a lot. So I think that's where all these guys want to play. I think anytime you can sell something that you passionately believe in, it makes it tremendously easier. And there's two things that we have to sell here that I believe a lot in. That's University of Arkansas and that's Sam Pittman. And when you can sell those two things and it's coming from the heart, and kids feel that, like, you can't BS an 18-year-old kid. They know, or 16 or 17-year-old kid. They know who's real and who's not, and it's easy for me to do that, and I enjoy it because I'm selling something I really, really believe in.
So again, that's Dow Loggins, the tight end coach there at Arkansas. Guys, there's got to be benefits, like you mentioned. There's got to be benefits having that tight end coach that used to be an NFL offensive coordinator.
No doubt. And it's already paying dividends where you've got two commitments already, two 4-star commitments at the tight end position. Obviously, it's a position of need, or they wouldn't be moving Landon Rogers there. So that's big in itself. You've still got two very, very capable top two guys, though. And as long as those guys don't get hurt, Arkansas is going to be fine most of the time at tight end. Now, when you get into jumbo sets where you've got two tight ends and an H-back, that might be something. Arkansas don't get into that many of those sets, So, it's something that Arkansas's got two guys that are very capable. Blake Kern showed himself last year to be a very quality player. And then we're just waiting for Hudson Henry to just turn it on. We're waiting for him to turn into that Henry that we all know and love.
Yeah, I mean, Pittman talked about it a few weeks ago, how he does want to get into more 12 personnel at times, and so that's kind of what it is. They got to get some more guys over there. They've got the kid backs. It's like a walk-on over there as well. That's doing some things. Got a real professional approach that Loggins said. But Bill, you were talking about how Loggins was talking about how he's gained weight since he's been back in town, eating out with everybody that ain't seen in years. But he's a tight ends coach now, right? He was a quarterback guy. Now he's tight end. Let's just pray for his sake he doesn't go to O-line. Okay. Now, and I will say this. I meant to say this earlier, but I didn't wear a hat today because I don't like the way it looks sometimes. But Coach Kennedy, he if you look at his hat, he makes me feel a little better about myself because that dude
has a massive.
I don't know how it sits on there. Good stuff. But anyways, Loggins, man, he's got so much experience as an OC. And he's doing nothing but helping this team out. I can't imagine all the little nuggets and stuff of information that he's just pumping into these guys. And you're right, Brad, about Hudson Henry, man. It's just a matter of time. I can't wait to see him really explode on the scene because I think this year we're going to see a glimpse of it finally, and it's going to happen.
He started showing glimpses last year of it till he got hurt. And then when he got hurt, it kind of fell off. Thank God Blake Kern was there. Of course, Blake Kern is just a beast. I mean, he's just a big old dude, playing tight end. I mean, you're really kind of talking about a guy that probably could play tackle if he put on just a little bit more weight. But he's got good hands. He runs well. Obviously he's not going to outrun too many to the end zone, but at the same time, he's going to get you there, and that's big.
It is.
He showed that you've got to pay attention to him because he will hurt you. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, he definitely will. And we were talking earlier about how Pittman is wearing off on the entire team, coaches included, and the impacts that's having on the team. And then you start to looking at the minutia here, and you look at the tight end coach. We're sitting here looking and talking about Loggins and the impacts that he's made on that locker room. And listen to this interview here with Kern and Henry, and how Loggins is affecting them as players. And tell me what you think about that. So here's Kern and Hudson Henry.
He relates a lot to us, and like he's from Arkansas. He loves the Hogs, just like everybody in our room, so him being the asset that he is and being the teacher that he is, I think our paths have met in the right, form of him caring about the Hogs, me being from the state of Arkansas, and him playing here. That played a huge role in why he connects with the room, connects with the state and the team. Yeah, I definitely think that Dominique is a good asset to this room. He come from running back, knows the signals, knows the plays, but it's different living in a different world of having to learn what that guy does on that given play. The transition has been great, way faster than I anticipated, but sees the signal, gets lined up, and he's doing a great job. He's willing to learn, very smart, so I think Dominique is doing great. Excited to see what he can do. So I always tell everybody, my parents mostly, they're like, man, you do whatever you want to do. They've always been like that. They've never pushed me to any decision that I didn't want to do. And I had one night I was sitting there on the back porch with my stepdad, and he was like, man, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I don't really have an option because I could either go back and do what I love or go to work, So it was really easy for me. Didn't want to go to work, so being a Hog's pretty good. So I just went back to work. Came back up here, put my nose down, hope for another great year, love the Hogs. But, yeah, it was really a no-brainer for me, man. I love being up here for as long as I have, and that's about it, man. It's just been an awesome experience. Thankful that I got another year to do it. A lot of people nobody before me and nobody after me will ever get that option again, you know what I mean? So it's been pretty cool to just come back up here and be beside these guys, and all my teammates and all of us COVID seniors are still here, and it's just a blessing that we get to do what we love for one more year.
Losing Felipe obviously was hard, and because he was a great leader. He was a great, role. He played a tremendous role, like on our offense, and he came in and he did a good job of leading, and people trusted him. And, I think KJ has really, taken that role of being the leader of our offense, and he's just run with it. He's done a good job of being confident out there. He's making great plays. He's making phenomenal throws that, I'm kind of sitting back like, wow. I think he's going to be a really special player because, he can move with his feet. He can throw. I'm just really excited because, I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. I think he's going to shot block.
So, again, that's Blake Kern and Hudson Henry talking about the tight end locker room a little bit and what Loggins means to him. And, it's what you want to hear.
Yeah. It seems to be a theme of the show. Everybody's saying the right things. I found I guess the most funny thing was when Kern was like, hey, I came back. Why did you come back? Well, I really just didn't want to go to work. I think I just wanted to be a Razorback for one more year. Good choice, Kern. Good choice, Blake Kern. You made the right choice because I guarantee you that being a Razorback is more fun than going to work. So congratulations.
20 years down the road, he's going to remember that as a great great job of making that decision.
Absolutely. And one thing about Kern, I got to say from a personal standpoint is, watching him back at Lamar High School, he was good. Don't get me wrong, he was good. But I would say he is really moved his game forward several miles since coming up on the hill. He's really blossomed, and I'm proud of the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He come out of nowhere to really contribute to the Razorbacks. Nobody would have thought when he went up there that he would have, but he has. And again, going back, we can talk about all this tight end movement that we want to talk about, but if those top two stay healthy, Arkansas's got a decent stable of tight ends. And that's all you can ask for at this point. We feel like that Hudson Henry has the opportunity to be one of the best in the nation at some point. We're just waiting for that to happen. It doesn't happen this year. Maybe it does. I don't know. I would think that he's probably ready for a breakout season. In fact, I'm going to call that right now. I'm going to say that one of my breakout players of the 2021 football season will be Hudson Henry.
I'd love to see that. Absolutely. Without a doubt. But, I think that the tight end position this year, to me, I think is the shallowest. It's the one that we really need to create some depth on. It's the only one that you really see anybody trying out, a whole lot of position changes. You see a lot of people trying it out for a day or two and seeing if they fit well there. You got to get your best playmakers on the field, and it seems like the tight end position is where a lot of people are being targeted right now.
The tight end group is more important than a lot of people think that it is, as far as taking the pressure off of the other position groups, especially when you can stick a guy in the middle of the field, let him catch the ball, opens up everything on the outside for guys like Burks. I mean, can you imagine being able to make people go one-on-one with Burks? I mean, that would be a phenomenal thing for the Razorbacks this year and make their offense very, very powerful. And then also for the running game as well, when you have that extra guy on the outside that can block, that's why they're looking for that third tight end to be able to come in when they need it in the H-back position.
Yeah, and Loggins talked about it a little bit. Tight end is such a hard position because you're supposed to be able to block like a left tackle and run routes like a wide receiver. So I mean, that's a very tall task for anybody to do. So, but I think they feel good about those first two guys. We just really need the injury bug to stay away from that position. That's the one spot that we definitely are the shallowest, and hopefully we'll fare pretty well there.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break and time out, and we'll be back with more Razor Wire here in just a moment. Here with more Razor Wire, Bill Harshaw, Brad Caldwell, Jared Miller, as always. And guys, by all indications, it's been a pretty good camp.
It definitely has. And man, at this point, it's got to a point where everybody's saying the same stuff. So it's now time to see what's actually happening. Tomorrow, there's another scrimmage in fall camp. So we're going to get a chance to hear about what has happened in that scrimmage. Hopefully they're going to allow media. I haven't seen the note whether they are or not for tomorrow. The first scrimmage was not allowed in. The media was not allowed in. I know one thing that they talked about was KJ being more consistent. I think that's something that you really need to see in this second scrimmage is KJ be a little bit more consistent throwing the football.
The other thing that I want to see in this scrimmage is make sure that Hunter Yurichek, if he's going to be there, let's at least have him on a motorcycle over on the sideline. That way his injuries are justified,
The volleyball team looking on,
Yeah, have him there. But I mean, the thing that I kind of pull out of this, kind of looking back at the entirety of fall camp is, I feel as a fan, I want to trust Sam Pittman. I feel like he's been completely transparent since he started this job, and I want to believe that he's continuing to be that way. And so when I listen to Sam Pittman and he's telling us about how much improved they're going to be because it's year 2 in the same system and they didn't have the preseason work and off season that they got this year because of COVID and the super seniors that are coming in and the leadership that's emerging and all of these things that lead us as fans to believe that this team is going to be vastly improved from last year. And last year was vastly improved from the 2 years before that. And, I want as a fan to continue that trust that I have that, hey, Sam Pittman's being completely transparent and honest here. And he genuinely does see this vast improvement. And, I want to trust the staff when they say that. And so at this point in the season, if we come out against Rice and we lay a big goose egg, fall flat, maybe struggle in the first couple of quarters, that's going to surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that in the past where we've heard, oh yeah, we're real good, and then you struggle against Jacksonville State, something like that. Yeah, Arkansas needs to come out and make a statement. I mean, may I remind everybody that for the 147th year in a row, Arkansas has the number 1 schedule in the country. So, I mean, it's like, I mean, last year might have been the toughest schedule in the history of college football. This year, they took us down a notch and just said, "Hey, you're just number one this year, maybe not ever." So Arkansas. That I guess the whole point that I'm trying to make is this: is that Arkansas could be better and still not win that many games, right? If Arkansas was a Big 12 team with the group that they have right now, I think you could probably say 8 or 9 wins pretty easily. Under where we're, under the SEC, can they get bowl eligible? I mean, that's the question that we're going to be asking this year, most likely.
Right. What's tough is, yeah, I think all of us agree we're going to be better this year, but who isn't? I mean, Ole Miss, they look to be better. A&M looks to possibly be better, and they were pretty solid last year. Mississippi State, year 2 under Leach, they're thinking they're going to be better. LSU definitely looks like they're going to get a little bit better this year. So I agree. I mean, we could definitely be better and not have a lot of super success. We'll save some of those predictions for a upcoming episode, but I'm really excited. I really like what they're saying. Like you said, there are some times where we've had some coaches talking to us about guys that are saying things that if you completely trust them, that kind of alters your predictions of what you kind of expect going into the season, your expectations, and they fell apart. Where find out we've got a walk on center starting for you, or our guard, or whatever he was playing that year. Talking about Ty Clary, I mean, and I love the kid, and I think he's one of our best blockers now, but going back, we didn't think that was the first year Pittman left. We didn't think that was going to happen. That we were, or it was the second year that we were starting a true freshman walk on. That was a huge red flag right there. But you would have never thought that if you just listened to fall camp, But I don't think this staff is that way at all. I 100% believe they are genuine the whole way through. That's Pittman for you, and that just exudes through him and goes on to everybody. So I really love that. I'm excited about that. And right now, it's another cliche, but the work is going on right now before the lights come on. And that's what they're doing. And when you listen to all these different position groups and how they talk, even the D-backs are talking about the D-line, and the D-line's talking about the O-line, and the O-line's talking about the D-line. I really feel really good, and I feel confident, and I can't wait to talk predictions next week because I'm really, really, really loving what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, and I honestly have a 1998 type of feeling towards this team. I really do, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is saying a lot. I wish that we would have that though. I'd love to have a 2006 come about. I'd love to have a 2010-11 year. Where Arkansas just wins a bunch of games. It's a lot of fun. We have paid the price, right?
That's
I
right.
mean,
For sure.
since Bobby Petrino fell off the bike, whatever you want to say, got beat up by the coach, whatever it is. I who knows? I've heard from people that worked up there that said he did not fall off the bike. He got beat up, but whatever.
I've never heard that.
I seriously I know somebody that I trust that
So
told me.
it was a better scenario to say nodding and beat up. I had this hot chick riding with me, and I've been
Right.
I mean,
cheating on
that's
my
the
wife.
excuse I would use too. I mean,
I
my
guess ego's ego, baby. I guess
But we've paid our penance since then. I mean,
Right.
it's been awful. I mean, from the Brett Bielema blowing the 24/7 lead at Rutgers to blowing every lead that he possibly could to Chad Morris just being the worst coach in history of college football. I mean, it's been awful. And so, yeah, we need some surprises. It would be nice to win a game or two that you weren't expected to win. Last year, sure, they
Was a
didn't
surprise.
expect us to win any. We won 3. But we
That's
also
right.
got screwed out of 2. So they owe us some. You know what I mean?
Saturday's a
Yeah.
big day because Saturday's when the next scrimmage is, and you got to look at it as some type of measuring stick. And we've heard from Sam Pittman about a week ago, and he went over what's working well and what needs to be improved. And he wants to improve a lot of mistakes, such as penalties, was a big issue in the scrimmage. A lot of offsides, some holding penalties. He said defensive pass interference was pretty prevalent. So we want to see those things cleaned up. But this is a good measuring stick Saturday. When we look at the scrimmage or the reports that come out of the scrimmage, we want to see those corrections, those mistakes corrected. What are you hoping to see Saturday?
Well, one thing I'm liking that I'm hearing, and I hope I continue to hear, is that Cam Little can kick that ball. That was one thing that Sam
right
Pittman
between those two
said.
little.
Exactly. He talked about how that Cam Little was kicking the ball well, and you're hearing a lot of good things there. Arkansas struggled in the kicking game for many, many years. So that's a big thing. It's a huge thing. Man, it's hard to take a ton from scrimmages because is KJ Jefferson live? Can he run? That's a question. Will he be able to run? They're not going to let KJ Jefferson get hit that much, if at any at all. So there's a question itself. Well, KJ, his rhythm to his game is he's got to run a little bit. So is he going to be held back? So you don't know what to think from there. The rushing game, I think, is a key. Arkansas needs to be able to run the football this year a little bit better than they did last year. They need to be able to get consistent yardage. And as Pittman has said before, they need to be able to call a run play and it not be a read play, it be a run play. And they're going to just bow up and they're going to get their 2 yards. And so that's massive. But I can tell you this, I don't care what happens. To be honest with you, I'm just excited about it. It's football season. Every Saturday, you're going to have some ball games on. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. And I feel like that we know that Arkansas is going to be competitive. They may not win a bunch of games. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be respectful. And at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Right. They're definitely on the way back. They're on the rise right now to that respectability. And, we'll see how the scrimmage goes. And I know talking about wanting to run the ball when it's time to run the ball and when the defense knows you're going to run it, that's something that they're still working on. The last scrimmage, Pittman talked about that a little bit, and they had a couple short yardage situations, 4th and goes, they couldn't convert. So that's something that it's going to continue to be a work in progress. That's something that I think we want to see in the scrimmage. I mean, we won't be able to see it, but that's something we want to hear about. And, Traylon Smith's a little banged up right now, so they're kind of holding him back because he's clearly the one. He doesn't need to get, any more injured, working on those backup guys. Who's going to emerge there? Who's going to be that next guy? Raheem Sanders, AJ Green. Hopefully he can play in this scrimmage because he didn't get to play in last scrimmage. And Pittman was very adamant that he wants to see him in that role and get some work there. So we'll see what happens, and we'll get some interviews and find out what went on in this scrimmage, and we'll go from there. But I really am excited, and I think this is a good team, and it's going to be a lot better, and we'll see what happens.
It's going to be a big show next week. We're going to be back for it as we have to unpack the conclusion of the fall camp and see what Pittman had to say about the scrimmage Saturday. We're going to include all of that on next week's show, and we may have some more information regarding Arkansas Sports Network. Don't forget arkansassportsnetwork.com. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter at ARSportsNet, and follow us along. We got a big ride coming up this football season, and we want you to join along with it.
Absolutely. Come along with us. We are excited about this game of the week and bring you the top players in the state of Arkansas. And we're bringing them right to you every week. So definitely make sure that you're putting it out there. Make sure that you're liking, sharing, that sort of thing, being a part of what we got going on, because I think some big things are happening at Arkansas Sports Network.
That's it. And if you're a business owner and you're listening to this and you say, hey, I want to be a part of that, shoot us a message. We can make that happen.
Absolutely.
That's it. So that's our show for this week. We'll be back next week to unpack the fall camp next time right here on
The Razor Wire.